We are recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
get in here.
okay.
All right.
Get all snugged up.
Yep.
Get the charts.
Got your charts. Talk about the nervous system.
That's me.
That
Okay.
is you.
Okay. We'll just wait a second.
Yeah. Hello, folks.
Hi.
We're gonna wait for a couple more
Oh,
people.
my dad's here.
Oh.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, cutie. That's so sweet. Oh, hi, Ray. I see you, Ray.
Oh, hi, Maya.
Hi. Oh, this is so much fun. Hi.
Cute. Fun.
Hey.
This is
fun.
This is the ventral vagal connection. I'm already feeling better.
Stepping on that ladder. Mm-hmm.
Versus falling
off the ladder. We were joking that sometimes when your nervous system gets activated, instead of moving up and down the vagal ladder, you just kind of fall.
Yeah. Proud of you. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh
How
my gosh.
cute.
My mom is here too.
Oh my
so
gosh.
excited to be here. Thanks for
Hi,
coming, Mom.
how cute. Hey, Simona. I'm so glad you listen to all of the podcasts. I hope you enjoy them. Yay. Cool. Great. Yay.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we'll wait.
Let's get
see. Should we wait? Should we get started?
It's 7:02.
Okay.
I'm punctual.
Okay. We're going to do it. We are going to do it. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, hello.
I'm Andrea. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am a trauma and somatic therapist in New York on occupied Lenape territory. And I am here with Victoria, who is a breath worker.
Oh, hello. Hi, my name is Victoria Albina. I am a life coach, a certified breathwork facilitator. By training, I'm a holistic nurse practitioner, and I'm host of the podcast Feminist Wellness.
Yay! It's such a good podcast, y'all, for real.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I use she, her pronouns, and I also practice here on occupied Lenape territory.
Amazing.
There we are.
Cool.
Yay!
Awesome.
So should we dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, great. So we got some really great questions from y'all. If you have more questions, please go ahead and type them in.
Yes.
We'll do our best to get to all of them. We got quite a few questions, which is super duper exciting. So the first question is, what is breathwork? So breathwork is an ancient practice, thousands of years old, and quite frankly, as ancient as breathing. Right?
Cool.
So humans have known since time immemorial that taking a deep breath and letting it out with a sigh helps to reset your nervous system.
Yeah.
And so the kind of breath work that I'm trained and certified in, and that you're training in very soon, which is very exciting,
Yes.
is a pranayama-based breath work. And so it's a 3-part breathing practice. So you breathe deep into the belly, heart center, and out. All through an open, relaxed mouth. And this practice, I started calling it breathwork journey meditation. It is, it's a journey, which is my favorite part about it. So it helps to reset, center, ground your body, your nervous system. It's also a really beautiful way to move out old stuck stories, stuck energy, to clear out the chakra system, and to get any blockages in your energetic body blown wide open. My work is the place where the sacred and the science meet. And so breathwork is the most perfect place where we can really talk about both. So
yeah, I love that.
I love it, right? Because it is this work with the energetic body, the spirit body, our trauma bodies, right? Our pain bodies, and moving through that. And if I'll nerd for a second, nerd alert, one of the things that happens when we breathe is that the calcium ion channels in our bodies get blown wide open, which is one of the same things that happens when we take an anxiolytic. Something, lytic is from the Greek to lyse, anxio, anxiety. So it's a literal chemical stress buster in our bodies, chemically speaking, in our cells and our nervous system. in addition to in our energetic bodies. So things like lavender oil, benzodiazepines, these, right? Like popping that Xanax, right? These things all open those calcium ion channels, and breathwork does the literal same thing. So during the practice, you feel calmed, relaxed, and it can open you up to having a deeper understanding of yourself, a really transformational understanding, and can also take you to places that are, I'm just going to say it, really psychedelic.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. So for folks out there who love a good psychedelic journey, it is not unlike that. But what is, I think, incredibly magical about it is that different from taking in something where it feels like the thing you've taken in is the medicine, you are the medicine, right? That's one of my central teachings, and yours as well,
absolutely,
right? You are your own best medicine, and in breath work, you can feel into that as you get transported, right? As you move through time and space, as you astrally project, go back and heal your inner child, step into radical self-love. All of these things are possible. And I have not experienced someone having a bad trip, as it were, in breath work, but if you're not enjoying it, if you don't like what's going on, you open your eyes and you take a normal breath and it's over. Whereas if you like took a fistful of mushrooms, like you're on
you're
that
in
ride,
it. You're
right? You're in it till it's done with you. So
that was such a beautiful explanation.
Oh, I thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it made me think about a couple things, how we have become really disconnected from having a soul, like as that being like a concept we talk about in psychotherapy. I would say just like in our society in general.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like reconnecting with a sacred part of yourself, and that can look like a lot of things.
Yeah.
But breath is a really wonderful way to do that. And also that when we get to have the experience of calming our nervous system ourselves and not having somebody else calm it or something else, then we do rewire towards, I have everything I need inside of me, right? We can feel at home in our bodies. It's okay to be here, right? Like that's huge. That's definitely something that I feel like can happen in breath work. I am always in control, right? Like, or I can find control on my own. I think that is the thing that is really wonderful about integrating breath work, even just like breath awareness. So like that's a practice too, is like not just doing the breath that Victoria showed us, but also just noticing your breath, taking a big breath, like not making any judgments, but just noticing. And the thing that happens usually when we notice our breath is that we do tend to deepen our breath. So basically there's so much here, and it is something that is always inside of us. And
And I think one thing that just came up for me while you were talking is how profoundly feminist and anti-oppression breathwork can be because of what you just said, right? That it's a way to flip the script on who has control and who has power, and who has power over and power under, right? And when you are feeling deeply in charge of your breath, you are gaining control, reestablishing control within your physiology. Right?
Or even just like being out in the world as a woman, as a person of color, as a queer person. There are all of these interactions in which we are reminded that there are people that have more power, or there are people that have more privilege in the world. And so to come back to the breath as a way to be like, I own my body, right? Like that is, that's huge.
Fuck yeah, that's huge. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
So remember, if you have questions you want us to answer, type them in, shoot them our way. We will answer as many as we can. We have quite the list here. I just flipped upside down. Trauma and breath work. Let's do it. So we got several questions from folks who said they have a trauma history that they're working through, they're working on, and they were wondering if breath work is appropriate. And I think we would both say a resounding fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
We were both like, absolutely. And so if there is trauma around breathing, asthma is not a contraindication to breath work at all. Just if you come to our classes or you're doing breath work on your own, have your rescue inhaler, like your albuterol nearby. this is the nerdy healthcare provider part of me speaking.
I love it.
But if there's trauma around breathing, around feeling your chest expand, if that's a stress point for you, focus on your nervous system.
Yeah, right, exactly. So if the body is a place that is scary to go, or that is triggering to go, or if the breath is connected, it feels connected for you in that way, or if there's any, again, like trauma around breath, we can connect with the nervous system through breath. And so if you don't focus on your body, or you don't focus on the breath, but you focus on noticing your nervous system come into a more safe and connected place, that is more of this like internal felt sense, which is just like, oh, I feel warm, or I feel my heart is slowing down. And that still is your body, but it's less specific to like your chest or your stomach, or like a part of your body that may have experienced trauma. And so, so connecting with the breath and connecting with the felt sense is a really, is a safer way if there are triggers around the physicality of the body.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, if it's a thing that you're concerned about, talk with your therapist before engaging with breath work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, why not? I'm a better safe than, triggered kind of gal.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and Victoria, do you want to share more about what people can expect when they do breath work?
Yes.
Because predictability absolutely helps survivors feel a lot safer.
Oh, absolutely. I think, as two folks who actively work with trauma, are trauma informed, and that's a really important thing for both of us. I start every breathwork session, even if the room is full of people who've done it 100 times, by going over what to expect. And also, I just want to say, hola, tía Lisita.
So cute.
Hola, qué alegría que estás acá. Mua, te quiero mucho. Okay, refocus. People from Argentina are watching.
Yay!
So, bien. So some really common experiences during breath work. Tingling in the fingers, in the toes, in the legs, like all over your body, tingling. A numbness feeling, like, where are my hands? A feeling of heaviness, like your limbs got super duper heavy, or like you're floating up above wherever you're lying, or we do this practice lying down, unless you have a strong history of heartburn, and then please do it sitting up.
Oh, interesting.
Because you'll reflux up into your throat. It'll be as your diaphragm contracts.
Yeah, that's all bad.
That's not cozy.
No.
Anyway, so numbness, tingling, heaviness, feeling like you're floating, or like you're sinking into where you are, feeling like you're astrally projecting, feeling like you're starting to have a psychedelic experience. I often, in my mind's eye, turn into animals.
There you go.
Yeah. So that happens.
I always communicate with my ancestors, which is a very intense experience. And it was very helpful for someone to let me know that might happen.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah,
I'm so not down with it being like surprise sensations.
Yeah, or like surprise all your like ancestors are talking
oh my God,
to you.
Right?
Like you really needed and I think also that in the room, if you're doing like a breathwork group, say with other people have really intense experiences. Like for myself personally, I usually hysterically cry through the whole thing.
Me too.
And make a lot of like guttural noises. So
it's like my sexy face. Just
exactly.
Like
so for a lot of survivors, it's not going to feel comfortable to hear other people have really intense experiences. And so if that's the case, you can always reach out to folks who do one-on-one sessions, which Victoria does. I will start to offer that in June if you're in New York. Jennifer Patterson, whose Instagram is Purpose Ritual, is so amazing and does one-on-one sliding scale. Is another queer practitioner. So, and if you're outside of New York, I feel like there are like
people everywhere. Just start like
or you can do an online course.
Right. So I have a 4-week online breathwork course. You can see the link in my bio. Hit like on Victoria Albina Wellness, and then you can see the link in my bio for my 4-week course, which is super exciting. So that's another thing with trauma, right? Like it may feel like it may get you a little activated, right? To like go to a place and be around people and you don't know what's going to happen. So I really, really encourage folks, if that's a stress point, if one-on-ones are great, if one-on-ones aren't available or just don't feel like the right thing, getting a course you can literally just download to your computer and you don't have to do the hour, right? You don't have to do the 45-minute session. You can do 10 minutes and stop. You can do 5 minutes, 2 minutes and stop, or you can go all in if your nervous system is agreeing with you going all in.
Yeah.
So you're in your bed, in your, you know, your setting. It makes sense that in that setting where you're used to being calm, centered, that dorsal vagus, right? Like that is like clicking along, you're going to feel likely, feel more comfortable. So I highly recommend getting an online program, an online course for folks who are new to the program, new to breath work, who don't have someone nearby running groups or one-on-ones.
Yes, totally.
Or folks with a lot of trauma, right? That
if
working
being
through trauma.
Totally, being at home, feel safer. Also, Jennifer Patterson, who I just mentioned before, is coming out with a breathwork book. And I think that comes out in January. So you can, again, check out her at Corpus Ritual on Instagram. And the book is going to be really helpful because you can have, again, like tools to use at home. So there's a lot of options.
So many great options.
And also just to say that, like, I think we're centering around a specific breath that Victoria showed us earlier, but that like all breathing is breath work. And so if the breath, like the 2-part inhale and 1-part exhale is overwhelming, which it certainly is for some folks, there are so many other breath patterns. For example, like fire breath, which is one of my favorites for, so if you're in a more like sympathetic place, so you're in a more like fight or flight place, the one that Victoria just did, in which you breathe in and then out of your nose, and then also breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And you can even be like as loud as you want. I love doing this one with people who don't feel like they can take up a lot of space, and we get really, really loud in my office. Love it. And so like that's something you can do if you're Deb Dana, who wrote The Polyvagal Theory in Therapy. She talks a lot about how sighing is really, really wonderful for your nervous system. And so something else that you can do too is just like, and people sigh all the time. Like it's not, so if you're like on the subway, if you're at work, like ways to make it accessible to do it anywhere, you can just do like a, and you can do that anywhere. Like it may sound a little kooky, but I think you can certainly like get away with it, or you can do it in the bathroom, or even just breathing really slowly and holding your breath. So holding your breath can be activating for some folks, but if it's not something that feels activating, when we hold our breath, we do tell our nervous system, hi, I'm in control, I got you. And so if you breathe in through your nose, hold, and then breathe out through your mouth, that's a breath that you can do pretty discreetly, I would say, like anywhere. And that's something that anybody can utilize. So again, like we're talking about a lot of different things, like a lot of different kinds of breath, but that any breath awareness is breath work. Like it doesn't have to be the biggest thing. It doesn't have to be the loudest breath. It doesn't have to be the most complex breath. Like just noticing how you're breathing, you're already doing breath work.
And what you were talking about that long exhale, you breathe out more carbon dioxide, which again, to nerd, will calm your body. It's going to change the acid alkaline balance. It's going to temporarily alkalize your blood, which is another beautiful thing that happens during breath work writ large, but also breath work specifically, like the breath work journey meditation that we're talking about as an active practice. We also got a question like, can you do breath work everywhere? So you just addressed that around different types of breathing, and I'll address it specifically around this 3-part pranayama breath or 2-part pranayama breath. I do it everywhere. So every morning I do, depending on the day, and not every morning, I'm a human. Things like shit happen.
Shit really does happen.
Like the smoothie cup exploded the other day. It's the second time it's happened.
I dropped my overalls in the toilet today, so.
Shit happens.
Shit really does.
Right, so most days, I do 7 to 13 minutes of at home. I have lots of great playlists on Spotify. I put one on.
Also people do tend to play music in groups.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
And that it is really, really centering to hear, to be able to connect with music as well.
It's really great. So while I do that on the daily, like getting over here, what's up, New York? The C train today? Like it was seriously like a can of sardines. Like it was like this, but with strangers. It's like zero.
It's so bad.
0% cute. Like 0.0% cute.
It's such a it is not a glimmer. It's like the opposite of the subway's like the opposite of a glimmer for me. For sure.
Totally. So I was standing there smushed like this. Right? Like trying to get here to hang and to do this with y'all. And I felt my nervous system start to like, I was getting overheated because of my big coat and my hat and the people and the crush and the time and the like everything. Yeah. So just literally standing on the subway, I went, and I did it 3 times, and I felt my nervous system.
Right, because like you were saying, you only need it a couple times because you've done it often in the past also.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my body has this baseline now of understanding, right? So, I mean, we can like science this hard and go back to Pavlov, right?
Yeah.
So like,
oh shit, totally. Yeah, that's a great point.
So like Psych 101, just like real quick review. Scientist Pavlov had a bunch of dogs in cages. That part's not nice. Don't put dogs in cages.
Don't put anybody in a cage.
Yeah. Amen. And no also hallelujah. But he would ring a bell, give a dog a treat, ring a bell, give a treat, right? And so the dogs would then, after a very short time, hear the bell and would start to salivate. Mm-hmm. So they would have a physiologic response to an auditory sensation, right? So we can train ourselves in the same way, understanding neuroplasticity, which is the life coaching part of the work that I do, is to help folks to rewire. This is what you do all day too, right?
Totally.
Actively rewire your nervous system and rewire your cognition, right? Change your thoughts to change the way you feel, so you can take different action, have different results in your life, so you can live an intentional life.
Totally.
Right?
It's also not just about changing your thoughts, it's about changing your body memory, right? So if you go, you're like going into a body memory by doing the breath once or twice of feeling connected and in your like safe and connected place on your ladder. So it's also about repatterning your experience of your body towards safety and connectedness and away from this is a really scary place to be or this is an overwhelming place to be. And that's another thing too, is that, so someone asked, they were asking if this is also helpful for OCD that leads to panic attacks. Like, this is for everything. This is for existing in this world, whatever that literally looks like for you. And I think that, again, like experimenting with different breaths and different environments for doing it, you may find the thing that works for you. But that this is just, it's just another way to, what the thing I was going to say is how there's like things that you do when you're in crisis, right? So maybe the breath is something for me, like my crisis stuff is like journaling, like getting my heart rate up. This breath actually is something that I absolutely return to in those moments of literal crisis. And then there are things that I do every day, like Victoria was saying too, how she does the breath in the morning. So we don't only want to have things in our toolbox for when shit hits the fan. We want to have things we do every day to lower our baseline, to live in that window of tolerance. Now I'll get my nerdy.
What is the window of tolerance?
This is backwards, but hopefully what you can see, there you go here. Sorry, I'm like covering your face.
No, it's
is that this is this like safe zone of safety. And when we're up here, this is thank you. This is the hyper aroused place, which is the like, and then down here, where to go? There it is. This is the more like numb dissociated place. And so what we're attempting to do by like every day doing things for ourselves is to live here. And we don't want to flatline. Like, we want to just like fluctuate from activation and release within our window. We just don't want to go from the top of the chart to the very bottom like a roller coaster. And so if you practice things like breath work, if you practice things like breath awareness, you are lowering your daily baseline. And then also to like link up with the inner child stuff, you are giving your inner child an experience of being cared and loved, right? So when we take care of ourselves, we're not just taking care of our adult selves, we're also taking care of our younger parts as well.
Yeah, that's inner child healing is one of my favorite parts of breath work. And so one of the things that often happens in breath work is, and you sort of alluded to this, is, or actually you spoke directly to it, is vocalizations. So we're vocal sobbers and moaners.
An
occasional screamer.
We howled at your last one. We were outside and we howled at the moon. It was amazing.
So that's both something that's really freeing, right? Because we get so trapped in adulting. And like adulting is so hard.
So awful.
Right? And we know that one of the ways to directly send our physiology into anxiety and panic is to tense. Right? To tense our muscles. And so breathwork not only provides a space to like relax our musculature, to remember that we can safely do that, and to be held right in that space. But it's also, it's like it's really fun to scream.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to howl. And so that's a way of reminding our inner child, like, baby, you're safe.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's okay to be you. Like, we're both total freak shows. And we
So
show up for Breathwork as freak shows.
Yeah.
And I'll make a trauma note, right? People often scream, moan, make noises during breathwork. When I have breathwork circles, it's one of the things. So I do consent before breathwork. Is it okay to be touched?
Yeah.
Is it okay for me to use essential oils on you? Because some folks don't like that. To burn cleansing herbs in the room. And I've added in the last few months, would you like me to come give you extra support if people start making screaming noises?
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So there's a gal who comes to my breath work most weeks, and most times that I do it, and she has a big trauma history, and not that we're like comparing trauma histories, like that doesn't get us anywhere, but the point being, her nervous system gets easily activated.
Yeah.
And so I just go over, like when people are being loud, or if I'm encouraging the room to make more noise, I'll just go over and like gently touch her ears, right? And I'll say like, baby, it's about to get loud.
Yeah.
Right. And then she'll just put her own little paws over her ears, which is also, right. So it's about that co-regulation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. You recognizing what you need to help yourself regulate, doing it with the love and support of someone else.
Totally. It also makes me think about, and again, like this is, so we connect with the part of our nervous system that thrives on connection through connection with ourselves too. And so there's like two things I want to say about this. And the first thing is that the thing that is really great about groups is that you do get to connect with other people. And so you really are in this place of ventral vagal activation. I would also argue that it's a mixed state experience where you are going either like up and down the ladder from being like really safe and connected to feeling really activated, but again, in actually really safe way, hopefully. And if not, then you can check in with the facilitator. And then also you do get to feel this like mixed state of activation and connectedness. And then at the end, very similar to like a shavasana and yoga, there is this like low tone, safe dorsal, which just to like, again, we'll see how this chart holds up, but like I'm talking about this ladder, right? And this is, I'll post it in the stories and it's also on my page, but that you are at the bottom of your ladder, which is in a trauma response is the immobilized place, but in a like somatic connectedness response is actually feeling really, really like zonked in a really wonderful way. So the way you feel after you eat a big dinner, or you have a really powerful orgasm, or you get a massage. And so in breathwork, you get to move throughout these states. So then and the thing that's really wonderful about getting to hear other people, if that feels safe and secure for you, is that you are engaging the part of your nervous system that heals and thrives on social connection. And if that's too much, which is totally fine if it is, you can also communicate and engage and connect with your younger parts through breathwork. And that is still the same activation because you are still having a social connection. It's just with you. And that is still so super powerful. And it's still like, it's all good. Like all connection is good. Like no connection is like more good than other connection. So do what feels right for you.
Right. I love it. We have a couple of great questions. Someone asked how they can work with us. So how do we get advice from you? So I'll let you, I won't blow up. I won't give you secrets away. So I have a 6-month online program coming out in early 2020. So it's going to include nervous system reset, nervous system work. I'm going to explain this whole polyvagal thing in a lot of detail with an understanding that before we can do the cognitive work, what you were addressing, we get to get really centered in our bodies and get safe in our nervous system and safe in our bodies, so that we can then work on the thinking part, right? So we can tell different stories and live really intentional lives. So that's going to be nervous system work, life coaching, and breath work, all in one big program. So that's exciting.
Very exciting.
I also, for folks in New York or nearby, this coming Saturday, which is December 7th, I'm doing a day-long breathwork workshop at the assemblage in Nomad, and we'll put links. There's also a link in my bio about that. And so it's a day-long workshop from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're gonna do active co-regulation. We're gonna practice holding space for other people in the workshop, which is gonna be really exciting in the morning. So everyone will breathe once in the morning, hold space for someone in the morning. I wrote up these amazing journaling prompts. I like printed them. I'm such a dork. I love it. And we'll do journaling, visualization, breath work, journey work, and then do another big session in the afternoon and have a lot of time for integration. So there's just a couple spots left. So hop on over to the link in my bio to sign up for that.
Awesome. Yeah, so for, I'm getting trained in the 2-part pranayama breath in June, or in late May, early June. So I'll be offering one-on-one sessions then. And I am not taking clients at this time. I do have a wait list. And so if you're curious about getting onto that, you can email me, or I'm happy to send folks referrals. I don't do sessions online or over the phone at this point, but
I do.
Yeah, but Victoria does, and she's an amazing coach. She coaches me all the time. And then I can speak to her talent. And then I also have a workshop that I just put up. This is my first one. So scary. So it's an hour-long video with slides that goes through nervous system coping, and it is designed for healers and therapists. Anybody can purchase it and watch it. I am going to make a separate one that will be for all folks, and so you can stay tuned for that. I will also have my healing trauma through BDSM workshop up online, I would say by the end of the month, so you can stay tuned for that as well, and that's all at AndreaGlik.com. I feel like,
I was just going to say, if you want more info, send us DMs once we finish this, or now if you want to. Drop us your email and we will put you on our email list so you can keep up with both of us. We have a lot of offerings, both in person here in New York City and via the interwebs. I'm also plotting some retreats in 2020, which is going to be amazing.
Yes. So stay tuned. And then I feel like I've actually seen like so many good questions. Yeah. So maybe we'll just do that. The first one that's at the bottom, someone asked if breathwork is meant to heal long-term or if it's in the moment, and just to highlight again that it is for both. So my encouragement for folks would be to have this be part of your daily practice. Again, that can look like doing a specific breath or literally just breathing, paying attention to your breath, and then also finding different breath patterns that work for you in your toolbox of when you are in a more sympathetic or fight or flight place, or you are in a more collapsed or depressed place, to have different breaths for different things. So for example, I really like the fire breath, which we did earlier, for when you're feeling more sympathetically aroused, so that fight or flight. And then when you're in a more dorsal or collapsed place, it can be a little too much for our nervous system to do something so loud and intense. So just slow breathing, even the box breath, right? So breathing, exactly. So breathing the like in 4, hold 4, out 4. Exactly, just like that. That's really great for if you're in if you need something a little slower and gentler. So just to highlight that, I think that's a really important takeaway from this, is that breathwork isn't only to be used in crisis, it's something that you can use all the time. And then someone asked how you don't hyperventilate while you're doing the breath. I feel like that's
someone asked what our Instagram handles are. I'm at Victoria. I don't need to say the at. I'm showing my age.
I think people say that.
Do they?
Yeah, people say that.
Do the cool kids say that?
I say that.
You're a cool kid. Okay, great. Victoria Albina, A-L-B as in boy, I-N-A, wellness.
And then I'm at Somatic Witch.
Somatic Witch, you're amazing.
So the hyperventilate question, someone asked how you don't hyperventilate. My answer to that, and I'm curious what you think, Victoria, is that you're not actually hyperventilating. It's a whole different kind of breath than that, right? Is that what your answer would be?
You kind of are.
You hyperventilate. Okay,
that's kind of the point.
Okay, so you are hyperventilating.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is important. Okay.
Yeah. So by going, it depends on the pace, right? So if you're like hyperventilating, that seems very scary, which it's not for me.
Yeah.
If that word is scary for you, or that you've had an experience of hyperventilation during panic, during trauma, during stress, like reset your thinking around breath work, right? Because you get to go at your own pace. So I'm a Leo with a bunch of Virgo in my chart. I'm like
Going for
right?
it.
I'm like in it.
Yeah.
But not everyone's like that, right?
Yeah.
Like not everyone wants that, right?
Right, so going slower. Yeah.
Totally available.
Yeah.
That again is the beauty of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's guidelines, but the
Mm-hmm.
power, the empowerment is that it's yours, baby.
Yeah.
Right? It's your individual practice to make your own, to do as you wish. And one of the big things I say at every breathwork circle I lead is that the only boss of you in that room is you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to breathe fast, go breathe fast.
Yeah.
You want to stop and rest while I'm like, babies, give it 10% more. And you're like,
nope.
No.
Right.
Then don't.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's also the experience of getting to be in control, right? So very similar to the box breath where you hold to say to your nervous system or younger parts of you, like, hey,
right.
I'm in control.
Right.
By saying like, I'm actually not going to like hyperventilate or like go too hard
right.
in this.
Right.
Then you're also deciding, that you're in control and telling all those younger parts of yourself, I got you, I'm in control. We'll go at whatever pace feels good for us.
Right. That's beautiful. Someone is saying, breathwork feels terrifying to me and unable to settle into it. I understand some of the underpinnings of this. The underpinnings in your nervous system, is that what you mean? Maybe this person will give us a little more detail here. So what I think is really important, and I'm excited to hear what you think. When we are telling our bodies, our physiology, our brain, all of it, this is terrifying, your body's like, oh, okay, that's a lion on the Serengeti that's like about to attack me and eat my face.
Yeah.
And so you should feel terrified if the story in your mind is, this is terrifying. And we get to honor that, right? We get to respect and honor that that's the story that's coming through. And you get to choose if you want to pick a different story to feel into. You don't have to. There's 1,000 amazing modalities for healing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing too, is like, sometimes we can change our story. And sometimes it's not about the story. It's just about like a body memory or a trigger.
Amen.
And then like, there are so many other ways to be in your body. And there's so many other ways to heal. If you're like, I don't want to be in my body to heal. Like that is, or not, I don't want to be, but I can't be. Like that's still possible, right?
Totally, 100%.
Yeah.
And I love it that we're finishing each other's sentence. I just love it. That's like literally where I was about to go. No, it's like a dream come true, right? I've like found my sacred science nerd.
Yes.
But yeah, baby, if your body's like, then no.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
And you can, because it's all about choice, you can choose to get curious.
Yeah.
About why you're like, oh no, terrifying, right? That's terrifying, right? And so that person wrote, yeah, due to early childhood trauma. Okay, my sweet angel, right? If your body is saying, no, don't do it.
Yeah, right.
Get curious, check in with that little part if it feels safe, and ask those little humans within, all those inner children's, what's up, babies? What part of this feels unsafe, right? And start to see if there's any clarity that they can help shed for you about what part. Is it the lying down? Is it the group?
Yeah.
Is it the eye mask? Is it that you might get hot or cold? Is it that you might have to pee? Is it that breathing feels scary, but I'm breathing all the time, right? But that child brain's like, no, breathing bad.
Yeah.
Okay. But the more we can get curious and really get into loving conversation with these parts of our body, parts of our spirit, parts of our soul, parts of our psyche, the more information they can give to us.
Totally.
And that is endlessly helpful and supportive, right? Because without more information, how can we decide if we want to shift, change, grow, right? And without more information, how can we live into our most intentional, checked in, centered lives?
Yeah, right, absolutely. And so even if it's not for you, and after all those questions, you're like, I'm good, there will be something that you find out about yourself. And even just being able to say to those younger parts, like, I got you, we're not going to do that again. Like, that's a healing experience, right? Like, there's a healing opportunity in basically everything that we do. And the getting curious thing, because that's like one of my favorite words, right? Is how like, if you can be curious about why something is triggering or is scary, instead of being like, forming any judgment about
Right.
that, right? Like,
Right.
oh, I'm so broken, I can't do breath work, or like, I'm like too traumatized, and like there's something wrong with me, I can't do breath work, right? Instead of like being curious, like what's happening for me and why can't I?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I just really wanted to grab this rose quartz because
she's all for you.
She's so healing for that heart chakra.
Totally.
That heart energy. But yeah, there's no, I mean, we're here to talk about an opportunity, a thing to do.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. Yeah. I just want to make sure that it's really clear.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. We've got a couple. Do you work with holotropic breath work? Totally. No worries. Hi, babe. So we are talking about pranayama breath work. I guide holotropic breath work. Sorry, this is poked. Yeah. Holotropic breath work in longer settings, like in a day-long workshop or in a retreat. I like to give it a little more time and space. So holotropic is a slightly different breathing pattern and can be more psychedelic in my experience.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I feel in my experience, N of one, that a little more integration is helpful often after a holotropic session. Whereas after breathwork, I can like, you want to be tender with yourself, you want to baby yourself. I always meal plan because that's part of my safe and sane world. But like I make extra sure after doing breathwork, after participating in breathwork, that I have like a really comforting, easy to digest meal waiting, like a nice bone broth soup, right? Like something easy and gentle. I don't make plans for after breath work. So like my evening sessions are from 6:30 to 8. I don't make dinner plans with a friend. I mean, I'd make dinner plans with you actually.
Me too.
Right? But like I plan to like get in the sauna or in a hot bath or in the hot shower. Like I plan something that's like
and also if this is something that made me think of integrating with a therapist too, is that if you have a really intense experience / like honestly in general, like any sort of like important somatic experience that you have, you can work with a therapist to integrate the knowledge that you have unearthed in that experience. And so that can be really helpful too, is to schedule an integration session or bring it up with a therapist.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to handle that one?
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, so somebody was talking about how trying to go to bed, there's a lot of anxiety and hyperarousal. So, you know, this also kind of relates to why I think sometimes breathwork can be less accessible for survivors, is that the like laying down, getting quiet, all of that has a lot of, have a lot of trauma reminders, or it can be a very overwhelming experience for somebody's body, even if there isn't a specific trauma, but it's like, we're going all day, and then when we stop to slow down, everything kind of hits us, and it's really fucking uncomfortable. And so but the thing that can be nice too is that like Victoria said about like if you have acid reflux, like you don't have to do this laying down. And so if like the lying down part is overwhelming, then you can be sitting up. And then I also think that for sleep in general, I do always sleep like a rock after doing breath work, I have to say. I mean, just like with some like more intense physical experience, I think that you really release a lot of stress hormones. You release a lot of cortisol and adrenaline, which are the things that are making your heart race when you're trying to fall asleep. And so doing any sort of like somatic practice to release stress hormones before bed can be really, really helpful. Not necessarily like immediately before bed. Something that's a little more gentle if you're like in bed and you can't sleep is turn on a light, it's not happening. And then the more like gentle practice could be journaling, or even like a lighter breath. And so those are things that folks can try as well.
Yeah, I love those suggestions.
Cool.
Yeah. So we got a question that says, how can I get better about remembering to breathe? I hold my breath throughout the day because of a lot of flashbacks from my past.
Totally.
So a lot of what you just shared speaks to that. And so I want to start with this word better. So my angel, you're doing perfectly. You're doing so well. Your body is guiding you to hold. Yeah. Because your trauma patterns and the ways they live in your body are informing that physiologic choice.
Yeah, that's to stay safe.
Yeah, it's to stay safe because your body's worried that if you breathe more, maybe a predator in the jungle will hear you, right? If we go way back evolutionarily. And so for me, always the first step is awareness acceptance, and then action, right? So it sounds like you have awareness. Oh, I find that I hold my breath throughout the day, right? So then you could take another step of awareness and to start to recognize the pattern.
Yeah.
When are you holding your breath? Is it in certain situations around certain people, right? What's the setting? Is it not setting specific? Is it when you're hungry? Is it when you're over full? Is it when you're tired, right? So cluing into your physiology is I think one of the most amazing ways to connect in with your psychology, right? To sort of start to close that loop on how the psyche and the soma are so profoundly entwined, right? So really start with that awareness. And then the acceptance part is, if there's judgment, I'm not going to assume there is, but if there's any judgment, like, damn it, why am I always holding my breath?
Yeah.
Right? I had a client in the office today who was like, damn it, why do I always like panic? And I was like, baby, because your nervous system loves you.
Yeah.
Right? Like your nervous system loves you and sends you into a panic attack or makes you have anxiety symptoms or dizziness or palpitations, tachycardia before bed, because you are so perfect and so loved. And that doesn't mean your symptoms don't suck. Right? Like,
right. And it's about showing your body that we don't have to live in that state of survival anymore. And that is also the like breath awareness and reminder to breathe is like, that served you. And like, thank you very much for having that survival response. It kept me safe. I'm still here. And I super want to breathe now.
Yeah, I super want to breathe.
So let's start breathing.
Yeah. And so sometimes, tying small habits together, right? Like some, finding a way to remind yourself to breathe throughout the day. And I think that awareness of that holding could be the first place to start with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So before you jump to action, make sure you take those first two steps, right? Getting more aware and then stepping into acceptance. Right? Like, this is my body showing me love. This is a survival habit that I have. And that is friggin' beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have follow-up thoughts. And so we've got about 10-15 minutes left. Tracy, thanks for listening to my podcast on awareness. That was a really fun one. Okay.
What are some ways you can heal without being embodied? So somebody asked, what are ways you can heal without being embodied? And that is a wonderful question. I think that, as Victoria has touched on, that our brain is, although it is part of our body, there is kind of this distancing that can happen if we just focus on it, which can be really harmful, but can also be really helpful in a situation like that. And so if you're trying to do some healing without like deeply connecting to your body because it's overwhelming, it can be really helpful to start with something like CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy, where you're not focusing on your body, you're focusing on the way that your brain is working and your brain is having trauma reactions, or the way you think impacts the way that you feel emotionally. And so that is a little bit more removed from your from the physicality of your body. So that can be a really safe place to get started. And then as we unlearn some of these thought patterns, because, and I've said this before, but we have the pathways between our brain and our body. There are 80% of our neural pathways go from our body up to our brain, right? So our body really impacts the way that we think and feel, but there are still 20% that go from brain to body. So you can still do so much and change the way that you feel in your body through your brain. And then I would check in with yourself after doing that work and ask, like, do we feel ready to go into the body? And you may have developed coping skills and coping techniques in that work to feel ready to go into the body.
Right. Definitely. Because taking those self-care actions is really challenging without the thought that I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this from a place of self-love.
Yeah. Also, like, how boring. Like, I don't want to, like all the self-care things are boring if you're not doing it to like take care of a younger part of you, or like, like there has to be the consciousness, or it's like just like a thing you're checking off the list, and that's like super really boring.
Yeah. I just did an episode of the Feminist Wellness Podcast, my podcast, all about self-care. And that real self-care that leads to real, profound, sustainable change, I would say has to be centered in self-love, right? So for so long I went to the gym to fit a patriarchal beauty standard.
Yeah,
and because like I'm Argentine, and so you're never thin enough, and like
totally
spent a lot of time like exercising and eating well, but not from self-love, from like a should and a have to, and shoulding on yourself, like that sucks.
Yeah, you also, if you like eat a certain way or move your body in a certain way to attain an impossible standard, you're actually releasing more stress hormones into your body, and then you don't get any of the awesome benefits of getting to like be in your fucking body. So
I love you so much.
Yeah. So yeah, but same with breath. If you're doing breath work because it like you should, because it's the like what trendy or like it makes you good, right? Like you're already good. Like you don't need to have a practice of being worthy, like you're worthy already. And so doing it because you deserve to feel good and you deserve to be in your body if you want to be, and not because it's like the thing you're checking off the list you're supposed to do. That's also like kind of staying away from the more like capitalist idea, right? Of like, I've checked off the thing I'm supposed to do. Like healing and capitalism unfortunately intersect in this society because like I gotta pay my rent, but like you're not coming to do this work. Hopefully you don't come to do this work because you're checking something off a list, and you're coming because you deserve to heal.
Right. And that's the other powerful anti-capitalist thing about breathwork. While we both offer our time, our support, as an with a monetary exchange, once you have these tools, they're yours, baby.
Totally. Yeah. That's
on the subway, right? Like it is yours because you are your own medicine.
I mean, there you go.
I mean, shit.
There you go.
Capitalism.
Yeah, seriously.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
everything you need is right here.
Can't fill that prescription at CVS.
No.
You are your own medicine. Totally. All right, my angels. If you have any last burning desires, you guys are so beautiful, says a stranger. Hello, stranger. You're a doll.
It's all the breathing.
It's all the breathing.
It is all the breathing.
No, but really. Any advice for respiratory conditions? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, my darling, but yes, you can do, if you have asthma, it is safe to do breath work. Other respiratory conditions, I would like COPD, emphysema, definitely like air trapping conditions. I wouldn't do this, but find someone local if you have a respiratory condition. I don't know if like surfactant issues, like cystic, my brain just started nerding. Really, did you see it? Could you feel it? My brain starts spinning in algorithms. Find someone local and work with someone locally. So someone's asking, was my question answered? Baby, what was your question? Put it back in type it again, darling, and we'll do our best. Beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's just say again for folks who are joining late. So I'm at Victoria Albina Wellness.
And I'm at Somatic Witch.
I love that handle. And I am a certified breathwork meditation facilitator, a life coach, holistic nurse practitioner, and host of the podcast Feminist Wellness. You want to say your words?
Oh, yes. I'm a trauma and somatic therapist in New York City, which is occupied Lenape territory, and I will soon be offering breathwork in June as well.
So exciting.
Yay.
We both have online courses, online offerings, lots of ways to work with us, to do this healing work with our guidance and support. If you're here in the New York City this coming Saturday, December 7th, I have a day-long breathwork workshop. I also have shorter workshops, so 90-minute workshops tomorrow, December 4th. I think there's 1 or 2 spots left. And then next Wednesday, December 11th. And so that's it for 2019. So if you want to get this in this decade, you've got 3 options.
Oh my God, that's
that was crazy.
Also, something that I didn't mention earlier is that the workshop that I have online, it's about healing through the nervous system. And so I cover breathwork, but I also cover a ton of other somatic things, and more like, I would say like more cognitive that impacts our body, ways of coping. And again, it is for therapists, but anybody can watch, and I will have one soon that is open to all folks.
Really exciting.
Cool.
I got some saludos desde Puerto Rico. Hola, cariño, ¿qué tal? Bien. Saludos. All right. You all, it's really important in setting healthy boundaries to start and end sessions on time. It's a really big deal, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to wrap this up. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you everybody.
For spending your Tuesday evening with us.
Yeah.
It's like,
so good.
It's so amazing. So make sure that you're following us both. We both give real good gram. We both send, like, we don't send a ton of emails, just like updates.
No, I'm really bad about sending emails. Sign up for my mailing list. You'll get like 2 a year.
It's just a skill you're developing. And I send an email each week about the podcast and then about retreats and courses. So make sure that you hop in the DMs and email us your email, not email us, DM us your email address. We'll throw you on both of our lists, and keep your eyes out because we are going to keep doing this. Yes, it's really fun.
It's the good stuff.
And we'll keep talking more about polyvagal theory, the nervous system, trauma responses, breath work.
Yes.
That's all exciting.
Yeah, and if you're in New York and you're a therapist or you're going to be one, I have a training at KIP Psychotherapy on December 12th from 2 to 4.
I'll be there.
Yes, and we're talking about healing your trauma through BDSM, and there's a ton about the nervous system. I go into polyvagal and sensory motor, somatic experiencing, but I'll have that up online also.
So amazing. Your mom loves us. Her mom says this was amazing. You are both amazing.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you for making an amazing human animal. Do you want to saludar my tía?
Oh my God, yes.
Tía Lisita.
Yes.
Hola.
Thank you.
Thanks from New Zealand.
Wow. That's the other side of the world, y'all.
Dude.
That's
so
crazy.
I usually, in any setting in the US, win the like who's from the deepest part of the deep south. Because people from Alabama are like, I'm from the deep south, and I'm like,
you're like just
Argentina.
from South America. Yeah.
But New Zealand, we're kind of close to tied on that one. So
yeah, that's
I'm
true.
a real silly goose.
Okay. Thanks, y'all. This was
Thank
awesome.
you. And remember, you are safe. You are held. You are loved.
Yes.
Be well, my darlings.
Yes, yes, yes.
Ciao.
Bye.
Shared a story.
Shared a story. 268. Not bad.
Holy crap.
Cool.
I didn't see how many.
Oh my God. Good. That was so good.
Let's stop this. We have